I want you to understand that you live in a capitalist system that not only crashes in 2008 and then solves the problem by lowering interest rates, but the very solution they found sets up the next crisis. Janet Yellen, well, she's been going around giving speeches on something I want to share with you. She is extremely worried that the next economic downturn in the United States, which, like most other observers, she thinks is imminent, that is, likely to occur, if not in 2019, then certainly in 2020, as the Chase Manhattan, J.P. Morgan Chase Bank has itself predicted, and so on. But here's her concern, and I find it remarkable for what it reveals, beyond even what she says. She's worried that this crash could be worse even than 2008 for a particular reason. Corporations have taken on much more debt since 2008 compared to what they had going into that crisis. And the extra debt means that as a company has difficulty with selling products because of a downturn, it will not only have to shut itself down or cut it back, but it will be unable to pay its debts to all the others who rely on those debts being paid back, who rely on the interest that these indebted companies won't be able to pay. I want to talk to you about what this means. So let's do it. In 2008, capitalism had its second worst crash since the Great Depression of the 1930s. So devastating was the collapse, particularly in the last third of the year 2008, that a terrified set of governments in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in Germany, in Europe, in Japan, and literally around the world, rushed in to have the governments try to cope with the mess, the economic mess created by private banks and private corporations. And one of the things done in many countries, and especially here in the United States, was to help companies out by lowering interest rates. The Federal Reserve brought interest rates down to just barely above zero. They hoped thereby to induce, to create an incentive for companies to borrow money, because it's virtually costless at a low interest rate, to have individuals buy homes, buy cars, because the interest rates came down. It was a way of helping capitalism get back on its feet after the momentous 2008 crash. But of course, by making money cheap to borrow, it sent a message, which we now can see was well received by American corporations, those in difficulty, but also those not in difficulty. Maybe you had a corporate president here, there, or the next place who had made a really bad investment that was now showing up as a problem for the company. He could cover that over by borrowing a vast amount of money and expanding in another direction to distract attention, to make up for the losses of the actual investment by doing something big and attention-grabbing with cheap borrowed money. Whatever the reason, American corporations borrowed money like there's no tomorrow from 2008 to now, making Janet Yellen really worried that a vast amount of borrowing has fueled very questionable investments by corporate leaders who could make those investments look good for a few years, get themselves fat bonuses during that time, and then the catastrophe would come after they've well taken care of themselves. She's really worried about it. I want you to understand that you live in a capitalist system that not only crashes in 2008 and then solves the problem by lowering interest rates, but the very solution they found sets up the next crisis. This is a system that goes from crisis to crisis, and that's why this system is in deep trouble, and it's long overdue for us to ask and answer the question, can't we do better than capitalism that works this way? It's the most important question we have, and in the elections we are now dealing with, it wasn't on the ballot.